Welcome back to Soul Talk. We're here with Kerri on Skype, and we were just talking about our journeys and our recent experiences.
And then the individual, we can say that I am the way.
Yes.
And then Kerri was, we're just, we kind of interrupted her thought, but really that, it's interesting because the first time I got the Ye Are Gods thing, my mother actually ran across it. And she sent it to me on email. She said, Jerry, you've got to read this. And I'm like, okay. And me with email is like, if you tell me I'm going to read it, it'll be like a month later.
Yeah.
And so,
I'm horrible.
And so she's like, did you read that? Did you read that? Did you read it? And I was like, Mom, you're like a little kid. And so, I finally read it, and I sat there and I had to ponder that for a second because I was in such a limiting religious background. And that you had to fear everything and be afraid of everything, and that the end of the world was coming at any point in time. But now it's May 21st, but and Pirates of the Caribbean comes out the night before. So but I mean, what was so, and I just sat there and I was like, I was a good 10 minutes, and I finally said, wow.
Everything so powerful in my life, to me personally, that's ever came and just made me click like that was sitting seemingly so aware right there in front of my face, asking me, why did I not know this before? Like, what was stopping me from seeing this that should have been so clear?
Maybe, Kerri, could you talk a little bit about that? What gets, from your perspective, what gets us in that point where, we've limited ourselves so much?
Well, we're first of all, when we are conceived, we're already absorbing the thoughts and the feelings and the stresses and the anxieties of our parents and the environments that they're in and all of that. We're just sponges from the time of conception. And until we're 6, we are just absorbing. We're working at a level where, as an adult, we would be seen as unconscious. So all of that time, we're absorbing all of our ideas about what it means to live. And also during that time, while the subconscious mind is sort of forming itself, that's where all of our default programming comes from. So it's not your fault. It's nobody's fault that, you think and you feel and you act the way that you do, because the conscious mind only operates at about 4% capacity and at about 40 bits per second, where the subconscious mind, which is the greater part of who we are and our experience, operates at about 96% capacity at about 40 million bits per second. So to try and change a behavior or an aspect of yourself using the conscious mind, which is where willpower and creativity come from, it's like this little tiny computer working against a humongous supercomputer. And that's why we'll start something, and it's really difficult to try and change things with willpower, which is why then creativity has to come in. And you can change your subconscious program with creativity. And there are tons of tools that are emerging now into our modern day awareness that help us to sort of rewrite the subconscious programming using the creativity of the conscious mind to do that.
Yes, I can see where changing those feelings might be a bit difficult, going up against your unconscious that is 96%.
And I think that's the reason. That's the simple reason why we do meditate. We bring in our higher consciousness, and we listen to our higher consciousness, and we get in the flow with it, so that we can, change that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and then of course the Christians would call it have faith in God and follow God, or other religions, but it's really just getting in one with everything that you are and becoming whole.
Yes, and at the same time, ask that same person, if they're having financial difficulties, if God is, there for them, because they are God. And if you think that some big daddy is going to come and take care of you, and you're not going to follow through on your own actions and on your own intentions, and if you sit down and decide to read the newspaper consciousness, God, whatever, is going to sit down and read the newspaper right along with you. So what you need to do is you need to sort of set your intention or your prayer, and not in a supplication kind of way. If you say, you know what, this is what I would really love to see happen, that is a prayer. And then act as if God has gotten the message and, has got your back, and act as if, you're walking in that direction. Yep. But if you decide to let somebody else do it for you, or think that some big daddy's going to do it for you, it's not going to happen.
Big dad. It's funny you should say that, because the show we're playing next week is going to be a recording that I did about a month and a half ago. And I just, not to bring up another guest, but it's just a real quick point I thought you might find interesting. He was Catholic, and then he went to Catholic school, and the nun, and when he was 17, asked him to renounce the devil, and he says, "I can't renounce something I don't believe in." And she said, "Well, he's evil," and he said, "I'm sorry, I can't look at something and say it's evil, because the devil is just an excuse not to take responsibility for your own life."
Right.
And and we want to point at things and be mad at everything and be a victim. But the simple fact is that if you feel uncomfortable in your life or in your space, you're the one that's allowing it to keep on happening. Right. And when you change that, when you start working, at that with a super consciousness, it's going to change a lot.
Absolutely.
So, wow, really cool conversation. So,
it all just makes so much sense to me. It blends so well.
I really like to think there's another phrase out there that says, "The eyes by which I see God are the same eyes that God sees me." My eyes. But tell me a little bit more about your process. Like how would you merge yourself with the super consciousness?
Well, generally, I kind of don't do a worship thing.
Of course.
Because, I feel like God lives in me. God is me.
Yep.
So, actually what I've taken to doing is, I don't know if you guys do this. I know I do it, and a couple of women that I know do it. But when I'm on the phone with somebody, I'll pace around my house. I'll just, talk to somebody. I'll just be pacing around my house. And that's kind of what I do with my intention. I'll be like, you know what? I would really like for this to happen, and it would be so cool if this happened, and this is the way I want it to happen, and, I want to be able to live my life, do what I love to do, let the money flow in, feel completely free, and, all of that, and just kind of pace around my house and just kind of talk out loud, because when you talk out loud, the vibration of those words seems to go out much more clearly, instead of like writing down and silent meditation and things like that. So, what I do is I'll do that. And then if I feel resistance, like, oh my God, I can't just sit there and do what I want to do, what brings me joy, and anticipate that money's going to come through or whatever. Then what I'll do is I will tap on the resistance that I have using EFT, because I also use EFT a lot in my practice. So, I'll work on myself. And sometimes I'll feel like a little tiny wrenching in my gut that says, no, you can't have this. So I will work sometimes for 2 or 3 hours, letting go of, some little bit of resistance that I have. And then, once all of the resistance is gone, then I act as if things are going to happen. And you just have to trust and know. And that's basically the process. You have to act, thought, word, and deed have to follow.
Action.
If you guys don't know what EFT is, it's emotional freedom techniques, and you can find out information on that from Kerri's site, I'm assuming. And you can also go to emofree.com and tapping.com, because those are good sites too.
All right, Kerri, we'll be right back with this song, and Lana, I want to play your Owl City.
Yeah.